Quick question. What kind of airplane are you? You know those quizzes that they have in magazines? Well, let's look at one of those and let's answer, what kind of airplane are you? When you think about it, there's a kind of airplane that actually represents who you are and how you want to travel. I used to be a United kind of guy, and now I'm a Delta frequent flyer. Not such a big fan of Southwest, but I love the Southwest business model. It's just not my kind of airplane. Here's what I mean. When I fly, I need electricity. I got a laptop, I got a tablet, iPad, all kinds of stuff. I need electricity at every seat all the time, so I always have it when I travel. I need legroom. I have rheumatoid arthritis and I must keep moving my feet. I need to be crossing and uncrossing my legs, even if the person in front of me lets their seat down. So I need Comfort Plus. And if I get into first class, that's okay too. The seats are a little big, but I just find a way to get myself comfortable. But I do need the Comfort Plus that I get on Delta Airlines. Now, this is not an ad for Delta Airlines. What I love about Southwest is they're different. They have said, look, we're going to do it this way, and if you want to fly this way, and all these little things about perks and priorities and so forth don't matter to you, then come to our airline. So they have intentionally created a different experience, and for the people who like that, it's very, very appealing. The reason I love this example is that it really demonstrates that there are people who love a certain way of flying and people who love a different way of flying. And they don't necessarily enjoy the other way of flying. What has all that got to do with marketing? Well, it's all about branding. Welcome to episode 27 of the Cheeky Sales Coach. Branding is everything. Obviously, the word of the day is branding. Branding is the process of creating a public-facing impression of your business or organization. Now, here are 6 or 7 things you need to know about branding. Thing number 1, branding is not about visual cues. It's not about your logo. It's not about your color scheme. It's not about the stuff that makes up your visual presentation. It includes those things, but it's much, much bigger than that. Again, think about the example of an airline. A few years ago, United decided to beat up one of their passengers and drag him screaming and kicking off of their airplane. They did not change their logo, but that absolutely affected their branding. In fact, as far as I know, their logo hasn't changed at all in the last 5 years. But things like that affect their branding. Quite realistically, things that are visual cues are important at a certain level, but they need to keep their place. Their place is not to take attention away from the bigger picture, which is who you are as an organization. Thing number 2 follows from that. Branding is absolutely everything you do. So branding includes the way you talk to customers, the way you talk to your employees, the way you interview people, the way you hire people, the way you document what you do, the way you provide services, the way you provide follow-up after the service, on and on and on. Every piece of what you do is part of your branding, and that's why you have to take it very, very seriously. You don't just say, well, let's get a logo that's kind of round and let's make it red and say, okay, we are Coca-Cola, right? You have to control all the pieces. And to the extent that you can't control all the pieces, you have to try to put forward an image, an impression that shows who you want to be seen as to the public. And thing number 3 follows up on that. You have to be sincere. You cannot have fake branding. In other words, you can't say, we really love our customers and they're very important to us, and then proceed to ignore them. A lot of large companies do this. They have a phone system that starts out by saying, your call is very important to us. Please call back at another time that's more convenient to us. That's completely see-through, and it's insincere. If you say that you're going to put customer service first, you really need an emphasis on customer service. And when I go back to branding is everything, it needs to be something internally. You talk about customer service. You talk about what it means and how you provide it, what the limits are, where the lines are. You define for yourself the rich texture that constitutes customer service inside your business, and then you go do what you said you were going to do. If you have a fake or insincere branding, it will show, it will come out. There is literally no way to hide it forever. So be sincere. Your branding should represent who you really are, what your company really stands for. It is very rare to talk to the management of a company and have them all agree word for word on exactly what their company vision is. But if you get a company where everybody's pretty darn close and it's almost word for word, you know that they have excellent branding. Thing number 4, your branding should be intentional. And by that I simply mean you have to do it on purpose. Many companies go out there and they just do what they do, which is fine. That's part of their brand. It's part of who they are. They're being sincere, but they're not trying to actually take control of their brand. When I say that you need to be intentional, you have to have a vision in your brain about what you want people to see with your company, and then you need to take steps to make that happen. So one of the reasons why we're talking about all of this under the moniker of marketing is that you have to present who you are. You have to present, let's say, a persona of your company so that people can say, I like that company, here's what they stand for. Bump, 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 bump. And they will list up exactly the things that you intended them to list. That only comes when you work from intention. Intention also starts in the center and works its way out. So it starts with the management and then the management team and then all of the different departments and all of the employees. They see the sincere intention of your company to be a specific thing. When you have branding that is built with intention, you empower everybody in the company to talk about your branding. Is this consistent with who we say we are? Again, number 5 builds on that. Your branding should be personal. By that I mean it should literally reflect your personality. So if you're the owner, if you're one of the core managers of the company, it should be your company. It should feel like you. When people sit down with you, what they experience should be consistent with the experience they get from your company. So some people are very staid, buttoned down. Other people are very relaxed. Some people are humorous. Some people are focused on hobbies or sports. Whatever it is, your company should reflect you. It should literally be a reflection of who you are. Many, many times I have advised people that you should do business the way you want to do it and then go find clients who want to do business your way. And again, the airlines are a perfect example of that. There are people who want to fly cheap, like cheap, 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 cheap. And so they go to Spirit and they pay for a seat. And then if you want padding on the seat, that costs extra. And if you want peanuts, that's extra. And if you want water, that's extra. And if you want to go to the bathroom, that's extra. But they're focused on saving pennies, not on the experience. If you care about what seat you're in, well, maybe you'll fly Delta. If you care for that upgraded experience, you're going to fly a Delta or a United or American. If you say, I don't care what seat I'm in, then you fly Southwest. Each of those are brands that said, look, we're going to do business a specific way, and if you want to do business our way, come on in, the water is fine. Now, I have preferences of which airlines I like to fly. That doesn't make them right or wrong, even though we as human beings always tend to float towards thinking that what we prefer must be right, what other people prefer is wrong. But the reality is, each of those is a legitimate business model attracting people who should be happy with that. If you go to Spirit and you buy a cheap seat and then you complain the whole time, I'm sorry, you bought the wrong airline. You have mismatched who you are with the airline you want serving you. So pick your airline, pick your business model. The same thing is true no matter what you sell, no matter what kind of services you provide. When prospects come to you and sign a deal, they should know what to expect. And that comes from you putting your personal stamp on your branding. Finally, number 6, everybody gets to talk about branding. Everybody gets to talk about your brand and whether you're being consistent with your brand. I mentioned this just a minute ago, but basically your clients, your customers, your vendors, your employees, everybody should be allowed to question whether or not you are behaving consistently with your brand. I've told this story before, but a few years ago I was tempted to do one of these robocalling things where people get called and they answer the phone and it's a recording giving them a message. And the first thing that my marketing manager asked me is that consistent with your brand? Is that what people expect from you? And it's a completely legitimate question. When you put out your branding, when you start with your mission, vision, values, and who you want to be seen as, you are setting yourself up to have other people reflect that back to you and ask whether you are actually behaving in the way that you say you are. The big companies that we all like to make fun of, they pretend that they care about people and they pretend that they care about service, but in the meantime, they don't deliver. Or they actually take advantage of their clients, they take advantage of other people, and they're the opposite of what they pretend their brand is. Whether you like it or not, there's a certain level of transparency in your branding. So create it with intention. Don't just let it happen all by itself. Now, a follow-up on all of that is that you need processes and procedures. How do you guarantee that you are following your own branding? Well, part of your branding is the way you do things. Standard operating procedures allow you to train employees in your brand of service delivery. The exact way that you do it, the customer experience that people can expect, and the end results that come out of it. You can control all of it if you have processes and procedures in place. I hope you're enjoying these marketing videos. Remember, we have 25 sales videos that you may need to catch up on. So check it all out at cheekysalescoach.com. I hope you have a great week of sales. Please send me any questions you have. You can put comments down below, and I will see you next week on the Cheeky Sales Coach. Call to action. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you won't miss a thing.